I was given the job of interviewing him. It was an old-fashioned style interview whereby we had to write the questions and the answers on a sheet of paper as it proceeded. During the course of the interview, Lee Baker had no emotion. It struck me that it was of no more importance than treading on a couple of ants, really. He responded to the questions that were put to him. He said that he went to his girlfriend's mother's house and that she was showing him family photographs. He was sat with her on the settee, and as she leaned over to get some more family photographs, so he stabbed her. He admits to shooting the dog, setting the house on fire. He didn't want to explain why he cut her head off. That was the only time he started to get irritable during the course of the interview. He was so honest, but then the honesty was accompanied by a total insensitivity to what he'd done. That was highly unusual. People are genuinely remorseful, not in this case. The emotion wasn't there.
Lee Baker could hardly deny his guilt. Indeed, there was little or nothing he could do by way of excuse.
It's quite clear that he had 2 months to think about what he was going to do. It wasn't spontaneous. And on the day in question, quite clearly, he was out for revenge.
Baker would not have gone to see a leader purely and simply as a kind of social visit or even an appeal for her daughter to come back to him, armed with a crossbow and a knife and rope. This shows intent. He went there to either threaten, torture, induce harm, or to actually kill her in a premeditated way.
The only possible defence that Lee Baker could offer against 2 charges of murder, one of attempted murder and one of actual bodily harm, was that he didn't know what he was doing.
There was a procession of witnesses, mostly the psychiatrists that had interviewed him for the defence and for the prosecution, who differed about his state of mind. In other words, let's find some mitigation. Is there mitigation for Baker to have carried out what he did?
Lee Baker had psychotherapy treatment in his earlier years, and he failed to keep up the appointments. So albeit there was mental problems perceived within him by professionals, he was able to walk away from it. And this one glimmer that there was a serious problem with this youth was missed.
He pleaded diminished responsibility, and I feel that was what it was. He was completely out of control, completely out of his depth. And again, his childhood played a massive part in what he was doing.
I left the court thinking, so what? So what if he was mentally unbalanced? What's that got to do with it? He's chopped off a woman's head. He's wandered around the area firing crossbow bolts into people, killing one.
Unfortunately, his mental history is one of personality disorder. He was psychopathic, he was dangerous, he was probably a bit borderline, explosive temper. These are not mitigating in court. In fact, these traits are aggravating in court, i.e. you should get a more serious sentence if you have this mental predisposition.
Quite rightly, the jury were unconvinced by the argument that Lee Baker was insane. They found him guilty, and on the 2nd of June 1987, he was given 2 life sentences for the murders, as well as other sentences for attempted murder, actual bodily harm, and arson. That was more than 30 years ago. What has happened to Lee Baker since is shrouded in mystery. But what is not shrouded in mystery is the events of that dreadful night from Monday into Tuesday, 28th and 29th of July, 1986. He is that rarest of all murderers, a spree killer who doesn't seem to have any remorse whatever.
Murder is a disgusting, foul affair. It breaks the hearts of the next of kin. It breaks the hearts of police officers who are tasked with clearing up the bloody mess afterwards. And it leaves a legacy that can never ever be repaired. The crossbow killings by Baker, the decapitation of a woman leaving her head in the bed, must rank as one of the most awful crimes that UK has ever witnessed.
2 innocent people. He didn't have to do that. Was he evil? Yeah, he probably was. Pure evil in him.
There is no doubt in my mind that Baker's troubled childhood was now being played out in these horrific acts of violence.
I feel that this system let Lee down from childhood forward. They didn't monitor his progress. He was in care, and I think he was completely desensitised to reality.
Did Lee Baker really see himself as Sylvester Stallone, as Rambo? Or was that just a suggestion, a myth? What is clear is that Lee Baker had set his heart on killing on that fateful night, and he carried it out in the most brutal manner imaginable.
He's ruined a lot of lives and they will never recover. One hears the term moving on, but I think people have to readjust to bereavement, particularly this type of bereavement. I mean, poor Mr. Ratu there, going home from a day's work and suddenly there's a crossbow bolt in your back and somebody with a double-edged knife straight into your chest. I mean, what had he, poor man, done?
Lee Baker's performance in his own personal melodrama did not end with applause. Far from it. It ended with his being given 2 life sentences for murder. His only legacy was to blight the lives of 2 families forever, leaving them drenched in their own grief.